Well, nobody has been busier on this issue than this gentleman, McKenzie McMillan. You've been working the phone since, what, about 4 o'clock this morning Pacific time?
Roughly, yeah. And right up until about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, so you got up at 4:30 the day before to go to a bar to watch the hockey game, not knowing the next day you're going to be getting up early to deal with this. So we'll get to the phone call you were just on in a moment, but tell me about this morning and kind of, without names, who you were talking to and what their concerns were.
Sure, yeah. So we were talking to a number of our clients that we have kind of peppered throughout the region. So we have clients right in Puerto Vallarta, but also in surrounding areas, and the questions were arising about how they were getting home. So the people that are being most directly affected by this are those who were scheduled to fly home yesterday or today, because those were the flights that were canceled. Now, in the case of times when flights get canceled to get moved on to the next flight, well, everything this week is sold out. It's we're coming into spring break. It's a very, very busy time to travel to sun destinations, and so the challenge of getting that many stranded passengers home is almost an insurmountable challenge. So today was a lot of exercise of patience and creativity in trying to figure out how we're going to get clients from A to B safely and quickly.
Yeah, I didn't mention in the introduction, because I feel like a lot of you know who this is, but you're managing partner or director at managing partner at the travel group. So you're dealing with travel issues all the time. You were just on the phone to Air Canada. So first of all, kudos for getting in touch with Air Canada, because sometimes, how long did you have to wait?
We have a priority line, so you normally get through a lot faster, but it was still about 3.5 hours. So
for travel agents,
for travel agents was 3.5 hours. Yeah, so I know that they've got a full crew working hard, but these are obviously also complicated issues, and each call is going to take a lot longer than maybe a quick 30 seconds. So it's a lot of people all at once trying to figure out, one, how to get home, but also people that maybe are flying in the next few days to go down and figuring out if they're going to continue with their trip or not. So.
Yeah, and so what's the latest information that you were able to get from Air Canada?
Yeah, so what we're hearing right now is it sounds like they haven't officially announced, but there's a possibility of flights resuming fairly soon, maybe even as soon as tomorrow. We've heard from one airline that has said that they are planning on operating flights tomorrow. The airport is going to be open. So that's sort of the most positive piece of news we have. News on the ground that, you were just speaking with someone on the ground as well, that things are starting to calm down. And so we're hoping that will stay the course and that flights will be able to resume and people will be able to either get home or continue on with their holidays as planned.
Yeah, and so I was looking at the list of departures and we're talking about Puerto Vallarta, right? Mexico's a big country, different situations in different areas, but all Canadian flights to and from Puerto Vallarta were canceled yesterday and still remain canceled.
That's right.
And there's it's easy to get confused, because when I looked at the list of departures, there was actually a flight listed from Air Transat that was, according to the board, was departing, but it turns out it's not departing today.
That's correct, yeah. And sometimes when we have so many cancellations at once, information can get missed. There's also things like code shares. So you might be looking at a United Airlines flight that says it's operating, but it's actually an Air Canada flight that's been canceled, and United hasn't updated their system yet. So just one of many examples of how information in a crisis like this can be a little bit misconstrued or be missing.
So I did see what appear to be some of the American airlines, not specifically American, but some of the U.S. carriers are flying out of Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, so we were seeing that a number of the U.S. carriers did cancel flights yesterday out of abundance of caution for the same reason the Canadian carriers did, but it didn't seem to be as unified as it was with the Canadian carriers, and today we were hearing about some flights going out of Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara as well into U.S. hubs. So again, trying to get the most up-to-date information, the most concrete information as possible has been a little bit of a challenge with the airlines.
And so, it is a crisis situation, and so I understand that for the airlines, there are a lot of moving parts here. But what's your advice to travelers, which I think is particularly important here on the West Coast, because there are a lot of people from Alberta and British Columbia in particular who go to and from Puerto Vallarta. What advice do you have for them?
Absolutely. The first piece of advice I have is to make sure that if you are concerned about it, but you're still planning on going, I'm personally supposed to go next week, and we're weighing out the risks right now about flying down there next week. Make sure that you're registered ahead with Canadians abroad. I know that a lot of people have expressed concern about trying to reach out to the embassies and reach out to Canadians abroad today from destination. And so it's a really good idea to register before you go, just in case something happens. So and that's for Puerto Vallarta or for anywhere that you might go. And then, of course, just keep an eye on what your airline statuses are looking like. And, if you have, make sure you have medical insurance and make sure you have misconnection insurance, because if you are stranded somewhere, flights are canceled, and you're looking at 3, 4, 5 days in destination, often that insurance will help you with costs well in destination, like accommodation, food, taxi rides, phone calls, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so a couple of quick follow-ups, and then I'll let you go. One thing is interesting. When you and I talked yesterday, you were on cross-country checkup, you were saying, I am going to Puerto Vallarta next week. Right now, it sounds like you're saying you may be going to Puerto Vallarta next week.
I'm still pretty confident that we're gonna take the trip. We are seeing now that things are starting to die down, and of course, every day. We know from our conversations we've had before that every day can be a new day and things can change dramatically. So I'm not closing the door on the trip, but we're going to have to wait and see. Airlines get back up and running. If things are going smoothly, we'll continue on with our trip, and hopefully other people will too.
And my last question, and based on your phone call with Air Canada, which ended just 10 minutes ago, though there was nothing definitive, you got a strong sense that they are moving towards restoring flights.
That is correct. Yeah. So they were in the process of the call, we were trying to get people home, specific passengers home, and we were able to get them home on a roundabout way through another airline and through a connecting city. But there was some indication in the call that they were hoping to have flights direct by tomorrow, but obviously with a very long line of passengers that need to be accommodated for that, plus the passengers that were booked for tomorrow already. So
you already know you're one of my favorite guests on the program, and really nice having you in to kind of steer us through all of this.
Yeah, it's going to be a long few days, but we'll get through it.
All right, McKenzie McMillan, managing partner at the Travel Group. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.